Rabbi Menace Friedman, hello. Thank God it's Tuesday. I will always say that. And in fact, I think the program should be called Thank God It's Tuesday, because that's the time we get to spend time with you and get wonderful insights, inspirations, and wisdom.
You're going to steal it away from Friday?
Yes, I think Tuesday is a much better day. Friday is phenomenal. It's Shabbos, but that's a different story. Rabbi Friedman, I, of course, thank you again for being with us this Tuesday. And basically, I would like to, it's getting harder. It's getting harder. Life is getting more stressful. More things are at stake. Obviously, a lot is happening. But the scary part of it is that we have one reality and a zillion different perceptions from everyone who is seeing this reality. Everyone has their own perception. How can it be this way? Was the world created this way? Why is that happening? Because that is what is causing a lot of problems right now.
If that were the only problem, it wouldn't be so bad. It's not the only problem. But what's happening in the world is polarization. Things are becoming very stark. Good is good, bad is bad, beautiful is beautiful, ugly is ugly. And when things are stark, they're polarized because there's no blend, there's no harmony. In fact, the very definition of beauty, what makes something beautiful, is the harmony. When you have a comfortable or harmonious blend of colors, then you have a beautiful shade. When you have stark colors, there's no beauty. So, for example, you can't say green is beautiful. Green is green. Red is red. What's beautiful is if you can combine different colors, particularly from the opposite ends of the spectrum, and you can combine them in a harmonious way, the result is beauty. So a beautiful face is a face in which all the parts work well together. But if you take just the nose, it's hard to say, is this a beautiful nose? It's a nose. But when it's in harmony with the cheeks and with the eyes and with the lips, then it's beautiful. So beauty comes from harmony. Right now, we're not seeing too much harmony. So on the surface, life is not beautiful. There's good and there's bad, there's right and there's wrong, but there's no beauty. Because the parts are not blending well. The result is polarized opinions, multiple opinions, disagreement from one extreme to the other. What one thinks is a great accomplishment, the other one thinks is a disaster. One person says this is the height of morality. The other one says, no, it's the depths of immorality. And in a sense, they're both right. Because when there's no harmony, even the good is not good enough. Even what's right is not right enough, because it does not blend with everything else. So that's where we stand right now. Is there a reason for this? There's a very good reason for this. Because Without this harsh polarization, we still had too many opinions, too many factions, too many realities. Mostly, too many moralities. That's a big problem. When we can't even agree on what murder means, then how are we supposed to function? If we can't agree on what stealing means, so when people say, I don't think stealing is wrong. I think the government is allowed to take whatever they want from people's property. It's not stealing. Or the opposite. People say you can take whatever belongs to the government. That's not stealing. It's public property. You can steal from the rich. That's okay. Because they don't care. They have plenty. So people who say that are immoral people. Today, when you tell somebody what you're doing is stealing, their question is, what does stealing mean? We don't even know what it means anymore. Is this murder? No. Really? You just killed somebody. Yeah, but the person was sick anyway. It's not killing. So when we can't agree what murder means, how are we supposed to obey the commandment? What good does the commandment do if we don't know what it means? So God says, thou shalt not murder. Okay, I don't murder. I just kill people who need to be killed. Or I just kill people who aren't necessary. That's not murder. Murder is if somebody kills me. That would be murder. But when I kill people, it's not murder.
So capital punishment is against Jewish religion?
Not at all. That's why the commandment is not to murder. Sometimes you have to kill people in self-defense or because of a capital crime. But that's not murder. Murder means killing an innocent person. So when we can't agree on any definitions, even without the chaos we have today, which of course is an inevitable result of that lack of definition. But even before this craziness, there were too many moralities. Every country had a different morality. What's allowed in this country is not allowed in the other country, and not for social, political reasons. Moral reasons. Excuse me. I remember pornography was illegal in South Africa. Interesting. There was apartheid, but pornography was forbidden. Should pornography be forbidden? Is it immoral? Should the government enforce morality? Very good questions.
I think pornography was illegal in Russia as well until probably the 90s or so. Not sure how legal it is right now. We're here.
So pornography and religion were both illegal. That was the condition of the world before all this chaos. But that is the root of the problem. The root of the problem is it's not that we're immoral, it's that we don't have morality. It's a total chaos. It's a total jungle where we don't even have rules even to break. We don't have rules to break. rioters don't get arrested. I think they're a little disappointed. What, rioting is not a crime anymore? What happened?
Doesn't seem to be. But let's go back. I'm sorry, you started it. So let's go back to the pornography aspect. Should it be illegal?
It should certainly be illegal. Illegal to produce. If you don't produce it, then it doesn't exist. But it has to be a consensus. It has to be a morality, a principle of morality that the nation believes in, not just the censors, like in Russia.
Rabbi Friedman, but then the question is, of course, why? Doesn't seem to be physically hurting people. It's just something people do somewhere and other people enjoy watching. So why should it be illegal?
I can give you a few reasons. The most practical reason is it destroys intimacy. As a result of pornography, people in America no longer have intimacy. In their own bedrooms, there's no intimacy. That's the effect of pornography on a society. There's no intimacy. There's no interest in intimacy. Couples, the average couple is intimate or tries to be intimate once a month if they can. Once a month. What do they do the other 29 days? Ignore each other. This is decadence. This is the decline of civilization. Of course, the birth rate goes down. And that's all a result of pornography. So the first thing is pornography destroys sexuality. It destroys it. It also encourages immorality. All sorts of sexual forbidden activities become attractive. Like the scandal with the Epstein Island. What went on there was not just sex, it was weird. Because regular sex is no longer interesting. Now it's got to be weird. So if you want to destroy a culture, if you want to destroy a society, if you want to destroy a people, introduce pornography. It's downhill all the way.
Rabbi Friedman, that's great, because that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about different perceptions of the same subject. People would argue that pornography is educational, it's freedom of expression, it's exciting, it's, people don't know how to be intimate, and that kind of gives them the insight, something to thrive for, I guess. I don't know. But there's a lot of arguments that people say that pornography enhances, not hurts.
I think that is intentional misinformation designed to destroy a civilization. That's not even an innocent mistake, because it is so far from true, even just on a very practical level, that it can't be that intelligent people actually think that. I think it's malicious. The sexualization of children, it's all meant to destroy, and it is destroying. There's no doubt left. There's no mystery left. It's so clear. It succeeded. Whoever was doing this has succeeded. It has brought the country to the lowest level of insensitivity, desensitized, objectified women, objectified intimacy, turned intimacy into a performance. And family life is finished.
it's interestingly enough, this is the popular thing to say. Someone is behind all of these things. Someone is behind what's happening right now politically. Someone is behind what's happening right now socially. Someone is behind pornography. So the question I have for the longest time is, who is behind all of this?
You know, you're right. You know, conspiracy theories are very popular these days. But it doesn't really matter. What's the difference who's doing it? The response is the same. Stop it. Stop it. It's disinformation. So provide the right information. People will catch on. So whether the people who are doing it are political enemies, whether China is doing it or the Russians are doing it, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just people want to make a lot of money on corrupt values. Maybe people just want to bring everyone down to their level. And they're so low, they want everybody else. So to justify their own behavior, they sexualize children. See, even children can't resist. They're all sexual. We're all sexual. Sex is everything. Okay, now you feel better? Now you've justified your behavior? So whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Whether it's the media or a political movement or a government or just greedy people.
Rabbi Friedman, you're 100% right. All of this is clear as day, but not to everybody. To very, very select few.
I hope it's not that small. I'm hoping that the silent majority, the healthy core, maybe can't explain what they're seeing, but they know that what they're seeing is bad. And they're not in favor of pornography, and they don't buy the argument that pornography is educational. That is such a pathetic argument.
Rabbi Friedman, unfortunately, the scariest part which happened last week, as far as, again, in my perception, and of course in perception of some other people, is what happened in Portland, Oregon, when a Trump supporter was killed, not during a riot, but on the way to a riot. To me, that spells possibility of a war, possibility of a civil war, because now we already have targets. Well, we as a society, of course. So people are already seeking their targets and killing their targets. That seems to be a warlike situation. Before, we had victims of circumstances, stray bullets. Now it's a targeted, intentional murder, which smells like civil war. And also that seems to be stemming from the same thing that we're talking about, how people are perceiving reality and what they're doing about it. How I would like to get your wisdom and spiritual take on what is happening socially to our society in that respect.
You're not the only one who's feeling that. The mood is like a civil war. I don't think it'll be a civil war because I don't think people care enough. They care enough to riot for a weekend, but to really put their life on the line like in the olden days in the Civil War, I don't think so. We're too lazy. You know, the weather gets cold, we'll all go home. It's like the guy who wanted to commit suicide and drown himself, but the water was too cold. So he waited for the summer. The civil war that needs to happen is an ideological war. That's inevitable. that war must be fought to a conclusion. Because again, two moralities means war, physical war. So to put an end to physical military war, you have to resolve the ideological questions. And that's what we're going through. The physical side of it is a little distracting from the real issue, and we shouldn't let it distract us. The battle is whose morality? The only correct answer is God's morality, because it's the only morality we can all agree on. And people say, well, what about atheists? Atheists don't have an opinion. It's not a problem. The problem is with people who have a strong opinion about morality. Atheists don't have an opinion because they don't have an original morality. They took the Ten Commandments and said, okay, this makes sense. So, the vast majority of human beings on earth believe in God. The problem is, we can't agree on what God said or says. And that's why we have different moralities. Coming of Mashiach means what God wants and what God said will become obvious to everyone. That's called a divine revelation. A divine revelation doesn't mean seeing angels fluttering around. Divine revelation means, okay, I see now. I see what God wants. I hear him. Him, not my opinion of him. So, going back to the original question of the fragmentation of everybody having a different opinion, that is a necessary sorting of values. We got to go through that. We got to figure out what we believe, what our morality is, and who is the authority behind it. It's not complicated. In fact, it's so simple that people don't want to hear it. They want to hear a sophisticated solution. Simple is the most sophisticated, the most elegant.
Rabbi Friedman, I still have to ask, how do we go about coming together on this? How can we all contribute to this process? Who can lead this process?
Everyone who has his head on right has an influence on their environment. That's the only way anything ever worked. It can't come from the top. We've given up on that a long time ago. And it can't come from the bottom because they don't have anything to offer. It's got to come from the average person who is not blinded, who cares a little bit about the world around them and won't go hiding in a cocoon somewhere. So everybody needs to step up. To increase their own morality until it becomes contagious, like a virus. Not talk about morality, but talk morality. Do it, don't talk it. Because when it comes to talk, the bad guys talk better. They have the media, they have the movies, they have the television. They talk very good. They talk very good. That's English. But they've got control of the words. We have to fix the world through actions.
Rabbi Friedman, I think at this particular time we need an example of what it means to talk morality.
Say good things, not talk about the need to say good things. Not the theory of it, the fact of it. Say good things. Compliment people, encourage people. Say kind things, say true things, wise things. Imagine, not so long ago, the country of Singapore was new. It was setting up a whole new government with a whole new philosophy. They called the Chabad rabbi in Hong Kong for advice. What should our values be? How should we set up our government? Should we allow abortions, autopsies, euthanasia? Big questions. Who did they call? The senior rabbi in the Far East.
The question is, did they listen to his answers?
Some of it they did. I'm sure he wasn't the only one, which is also a good thing. Call a number of people from different backgrounds, different religions, different regions, and see what everybody agrees on. And those things, for sure, there's no doubt. If everybody agrees, so assisted suicide, nobody will approve of it.
Even in the case of suffering?
Well, that's usually when the question comes up.
Rabbi Friedman, I think the world right now is in a place of an ultimate choice, to make an ultimate choice. And I can't keep on thinking that this is the premise of what God gave to the world, to make a choice, freedom of choice. But can you please explain that process a little bit more deeper? What this means?
First of all, free choice applies only to moral questions. We're mistaken if we think we have free choice in everything. We don't. You don't have free choice in being born or not being born. You don't have free choice to be male or female, despite popular opinion. You don't have choice to be Jew or non-Jew. You don't have choice to be born in the 20th century or in the 12th century. You don't have choice of when you want to die or don't want to die. Those are big issues. Have children, fertility issues. It's not in our own hands. Even a virus we can't seem to handle. So where's our freedom of choice? Our freedom of choice is we can try to have a baby. That's a moral decision. We can try to cure the disease honestly. That's a moral choice. Our only freedom ever given to us was the freedom to either love God back or not. That's it. Because, very, very logically, that's the only freedom we need. We don't need the freedom to travel. So God restricts travel. He plans where you end up. He doesn't give you free choice. The one thing where you need to have free choice for his purpose, because he gave us the free choice. The reason he gave us the free choice is because you can't force somebody to love you. That's an oxymoron. If he forces us to love him, then we don't love him. It's not love.
So the free choice is not abiding by his laws, but to love him and therefore abide by his laws.
Absolutely. Or sometimes, when you're married and you don't have a strong feeling for your spouse, you do something kind and considerate, and all of a sudden the feelings come. So whether the action brings the feeling or the feeling brings the action, the point is that the only reason free choice is necessary is because without it, love is not love. If God forces us to light a Shabbos candle, the Shabbos candle gets lit. Would that be terrible? Maybe not. If he forced us to give charity, poor people will have what to eat, so who cares? But if he forces us to love him, then there is no love. So the free choice is in moral questions. To serve him or not to serve him. To be or not to be, we have no freedom. So the freedom of choice is the center of the entire purpose of creation, because the entire purpose of creation is the relationship. And a relationship cannot be forced, because then it's not a relationship. Then it's a clone. So yes, we have to make some choices where we are capable of making choices, where we have freedom of choice. So to get rich or not to get rich, don't have free choice. And the proof is, look who got rich. Look. It make any sense to you? And look who's poor. Makes no sense. Question is, rich or poor, are you good? Can a rich person do more good? In one sense, yes. When you have more resources, you can do more good. But then if you don't, then you're more bad. So the rich person is held responsible more than the poor person, just like the learned person, the knowledgeable person, is held more responsible than the ignorant.
So, Rabbi Friedman, then what is the free choice for the society today in this situation?
In a nutshell, me or God. My way or his way. That's it. The rest is commentary. We've gotten very comfortable with the thought that I can do it my way. We've even gotten comfortable with the thought that there is my way, as if I have a way that nobody else ever thought of. I have nothing original. Nothing. And here's one of the miracles of Torah. They say that the Torah identifies 4 animals that have one of the 2 kosher signs, but not the other. The camel, the pig, some rabbit that has one of the 2 kosher signs, but not the other. How in the world, if Moshe wrote the Torah himself, how would he know that in the entire universe there are only 4 such animals? So it must have been written by God. Okay, pretty solid argument. But the fact that in 3,000 years we haven't invented a new sin, that is scary. We're so inventive, we're so imaginative, we're so creative. Can't anyone come up with a new sin? That's divine. I mean, that's like, talk about ultimate truth. And can't anyone come up with a new mitzvah? So temporarily, people do, like not eating fish on Friday. A new sin. Being celibate, a new mitzvah. No, it doesn't work. There are only so many mitzvahs and there are only so many sins, and we can't invent a new one. So somebody asked, one of the students asked, the biblical morality is 3,300 years old. Don't you think it needs an update? Shouldn't it be brought current? It's a good question. But on the other hand, if you can't invent a new sin, why do you need a new moral code? It's the same old sin. We've got it covered. So if you invent a new sin, we will rewrite the 10 Commandments. But that is really, when they say nothing new under the sun.
Interesting times we're living in, Rabbi Menace Friedman.
Yes, and it is scary.
Not easy.
It is scary, but when something is scary, you got to stop and consider. What do you make of this scary stuff? The fact that it's scary, that's not a conclusion. That's just an issue. Now, what do you make of this issue? So yes, it is scary, but are we headed in a good direction or in a bad direction? We're headed in a good direction. The scare is going to sober up a lot of people. It is. It's already doing that. Again, it's not going to make it to the news because we know who controls the pages and the headlines. But it's a good scare. It's a sobering scare. So will there be a civil war? There will not be a civil war. Will there be a moral showdown? I hope so.
Amen.
And in that we have freedom of choice. We can either go to war on ideas or we can go to war with guns. I don't think anybody wants the guns.
I guess we will know that soon enough what people want, because right now it's a little bit up in the air, at least through the media. That's what it seems. Yeah.
And it could be the media is interested in seeing a confrontation on the streets. But it'll take more than media to make that happen.
So the words of positivity were still in good shape and moving in the right direction.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And we see more, I mean, it's not like hypothetical. We're seeing more evidence of it every hour. On the one hand, people are becoming much nicer, much better, much more concerned with morality. On the other hand, we have people who are getting very frustrated with the dishonesty and with the ugliness of the alternative, which is an even better. In other words, the what do they call it? The undecided, the
easily swayed.
the middle. The middle is becoming disillusioned with being in the middle. It's not such an appealing place to be anymore. Because to be in the middle, you have to tolerate some pretty nasty stuff. And the nastier it gets, the more intolerable it becomes. So it is moving in a good direction.
The question is, how much worse does it have to get in order to get better?
That's where we have to actually participate and see if we can't shorten the time. Do we have to wait until it is so blatantly evil that every fool can see it? Or can we help make it a little clearer as it stands today so we don't need to get any uglier to be convincing? That's what you're doing with your radio show. That's what a lot of people are doing with their little bit of influence. And that's what everyone should be doing in their own family, neighborhood, congregation. Explain it, show it, demonstrate it. There has to be freedom of choice, so there has to exist some evil. Why are you in love with it? Why do you believe in it? Why do you tolerate it? It's evil. Doesn't deserve to be tolerated. In the name of freedom and in the name of equality and in the name of progress, no, we're not buying it anymore. Knock it off. You can't walk into a store and walk out with a television set for ideological reasons. Come on. Who are you kidding? What kind of fairy tale is that?
Certainly hope that a lot of people will come to this realization much sooner rather than later, and we can heal the world together. So I guess the mantra continues: optimistic, positive, kind, and spread it around.
Things are going to be wonderful beyond imagination. Because when we can resolve this issue, I mean, it really is not, it's not rocket science. If people stopped cutting each other down and instead built each other up, what couldn't we achieve? I mean, it's so simple. Like they say in Israel, if Arabs could talk to each other, we would be in big trouble. What saves Israel is that the Arabs can't cooperate with each other, which for us is a blessing. But can you imagine if good people would cooperate? You know what we could do? We could build a tower up to heaven.
Rabbi Friedman, thank you so much. As always, absolutely
pleasure.
amazing, very positive, optimistic. I'm certainly inspired, and I hope we've done that for the rest of our listeners, and hopefully those who heard this program today heard a very clear message that all the goodness has to come together and work together for the ultimate goodness. So thank you so much. I look forward to our time again next week, and thank you for your wisdom and your time.